third on our program will be Dr. Andres Tangalin, sitting over there, who I actually got a job because of him. I was applying to be a teacher, and he was teaching at Mini Madrona Middle School, and so he put in a good word, and I managed to uphold that, I guess. Anyway, we taught for a couple of years together and that kind of thing, but he's a prominent educator. So he is writing a bio called Inner Voice Conversations. So, and Sonny wasn't born here. He was born in Chicago, so you'll hear a little bit about that.
I'm going to take you back when you were 16 years old. And I'm going to give an incident that changed my whole world view. And I want to share it with you. Have you ever had an epiphany moment? The kind where the safety of your youth snaps. The world flips. And suddenly you realize you're not just a passenger in your own life anymore. Let me tell you mine. In 1954, Dad bought a black 1949 Mercury convertible. I chose it. I was drawn to its sleek Carson top, a one-piece, non-folding upholstered shell. Removing it took 2 people. I was a devoted reader of Rod and Custom, Hot Rod Magazine, Motor Trend, and Carcraft magazines. Fascinated how car craftsmen transformed ordinary cars into rolling works of art. When I saw this Mercury for sale, I saw more than a car. I saw a chance to step inside that culture, to belong, and to be seen. The Mercury was our first car. Back then, 16-year-olds could get a license, but to drive legally, you were required paying extra insurance through a state-assigned risk plan. For a teenager, a license, a car, and insurance meant freedom and a kind of social currency. It was early Saturday night, 1954, when I picked up my friends Manuel, Tristan, and Billy for a night out. We headed south on unlit stretch US Highway 99. We sat two in front, 2 in back, loud with anticipation. This was Saturday night. My brown brother, Johnny, pulled alongside us in his black 1933 Plymouth Coupe. We laughed, nodded, and both cars accelerated. As we raced side by side, everything suddenly turned black. For a split second, there was no sound, no light, no road, just the terrifying realization that I could no longer see anything in front of me. Instinct reached to the right, the shoulder. Safety was to the right, but the impact came almost instantly. The Mercury rose. I found myself vertical, still gripping the steering wheel, helpless to the physics of what was already happening. The world flipped, the car rotating in the air before, slamming upside down across both southbound lanes. Silence followed, the kind that only comes after a disaster. By sheer luck, no other cars were on the road. Glass and debris scattered across the bridge. I crawled out through the driver's door. The others escaped through the passenger side. We were stunned, shaken, but alive. The only injury was a small cut on my leg from the Carson top's rib frame. Later, piecing it together, I realized as we accelerated, air pressure forced the front hood to lift. It swung back, still attached, and blocked my vision. When I slowed and veered to the right, the wheels jumped the curb and climbed up the bridge girder. Flipping the car onto its roof with no seat belts, we were pinned between the semi-collapsed top and the road. The doors must have sprung open, giving us enough space to crawl out. The reinforced Carson top saved our lives. The mercury was total. The patrol dropped us off at our houses. When I got home, Dad was sleeping. I knew I had to tell him. I woke him, and in a trembling voice, I explained what happened. That my friends were okay, but the car was gone. Dad listened in silence. No yelling, no lecture, just a look of disappointment that cut deeper than any anger could. In his silence, I understood for the first time how deeply he carried his hopes for me, hopes I had barely begun to understand. From that moment, I promised myself I would finish school and get my diploma. The night was a turning point. I felt the shame of disappointing Dad, and I knew I needed to be redeemed. At 16, I was a junior in high school. 5 months later, the mercury was junk. But my friends and I were alive. That moment was the last grain of sand through the hourglass of my turbulent youth. What am I doing? Where am I going? What will these relationships bring? My inner questions pushed me to reframe my role as a son and to change my risk-prone, impulsive lifestyle. It was a life-saving epiphany. Thank you. You're in terms of our generation, you couldn't live any place in Seattle until 1968. So you didn't have a choice, okay? It's interesting that when we get all this mixed generation, now that's a pressure point for me. Putting together my memoir, one of the things that really gets me was just like Dorothy was talking about. Nobody talks about mixed race, okay? And I have a thing about mixed race without a hyphen, okay? And then the other part of that is there's a stigma, and you have to realize that when we were growing up, we were Filipinos. That's what it was. Until after 1975, then they said, no, you weren't Filipino. And now that's a whole nother issue. But let me get on with this piece that I wanted to say. Otherwise, I'm going to get emotionally carried away here. Okay? All right. Our Filipino identity wasn't something we had to earn through tests of culture knowledge or language fluency. It lived in family gatherings and shared food and stories in ways that our elders taught us to navigate a world that wanted us to pick sides. My memoir, Quiet Carriers, When our elders envisioned the future, they didn't just hope, they took action. They labored, studied, and organized. That's intention. Deliberate steps toward a desired tomorrow. But they didn't do it alone. They built friendships, partnerships of trust and emotion, seeds to harvest. That's belonging. Valuing and being valued in lasting relationships. And those values didn't vanish with time. They're still with us. Belonging wasn't always easy, but often fought for, offered quietly, and sustained across divides of language and legality. We experience it when our US-born children raised in monolingual homes still find their way to Filipino fiestas, empowerment events, and shared meals, proving that value flows both ways. Sometimes belonging is not explained. It's felt. It's the whisper that says, as if talking to the mirror, you're not alone. The following reflection echoes that sentiment, addressed to those who live on the margins but carry the thread of community within them. Nobody handed us maps when we stepped off the boats or out of those bunkhouses. What we had was intention. We imagined a tomorrow that hadn't been written yet. We got up before sunrise, sent younger ones to school, and skipped meals so someone else could eat. That's deliberate action. Not poetry, not theory. It's survival. It's love with sleeves rolled up. And we didn't do it solo. We built friendships out of borrowed time in spaces nobody else claimed. That was belonging. Trusting in each other, leaning hard on the load got too heavy, crying behind curtains and laughing with rice still stuck in our teeth. We weren't just kababayans. We were shoulders, ladders, roots. So when you speak, speak with intention. When you listen, listen like belonging depends on it, because it does. And when someone tells you you don't count, remind them we counted each other when nobody else would. You didn't choose the divide. You were born on it, between the islands and the avenues, between lumpia and lunch trays, clinics and locker rooms, between your parents' silence and America's callous disbelief, and still, you carried intention. You imagined futures they couldn't name, took action even when doors were bolted shut, earned degrees built on cannery wages and second shifts. You spoke English, yes, but your loyalty spoke louder, and you labored to belong in life's relationships. You held friendships like lifelines, not decorative, not optional. Each one was a difference between chaos and clarity, between collapse and carrying on, a rhythm of resilience passed between generations. You mapped trust like terrain, guarded secrets like supply routes. Not everyone understood your bounds, but they saved you again and again. Your laughs cracked through rented walls that stitched brokenness. Your love lived in gestures, responded to calls, shared stories, a hand on the shoulder when the world got cruel. Words weighted with listening, not solving. You didn't speak Tagalog, but you spoke care. You live by an ihan like a heartbeat, quiet, steady, epigenetically. So, when they say you're not Filipino enough, look them in the eye. Say, I am the bridge, raised by sacrifice, held by hope, guided by ambition, built to carry us forward. Carry what matters. Love, laughter, diligent, quiet work. No banners, no manufactured performance. Be the path laid by those before and step confidently. Thank you.